How's everyone? Well, good evening once again. I hope we're all doing great. How's been our week?
Good,
Yeah, it's been
thanks.
all right. How's yours?
Yeah, well, mine has been mine has been
Mine
good.
has been full, but all good.
Wow. Yeah, it's end of the month, so a whole lot of reports coming in and wrapping up. So many things to do. You know how it is. End of the month.
Yeah, the funny thing, that's for you. You are, an ADM side of things, so you'll be doing reports. I'm a Scrum Master. I don't do those kind of reports.
Oh,
Um, yeah. So some Scrum Masters do, but I don't do. However, this period too for end of spring, start of spring, we just started a new spring. So there's always the part of, closing all the sprints and you need to document, do your metrics, anything. So those are the kind of things, but not reports.
yeah,
And aside that, I also have some other tasks I'm doing for my whole area, bringing things together. Then sometimes people will need help across the chapter for different things. And I don't know who used to give them my name. Meet her, she will solve it for you. Those kind of annoying things that work. Then it tricks your own mind to always also be a robot and quickly treat people's things.
yeah.
It's a negative and a positive. You
Yeah,
don't want to let yourself down. You don't want to lose that reputation of just tell her to be resolved.
it's it. No,
So they're just playing with my mind. It's so annoying. I know, when somebody is playing with your mind, and yeah. Anyways,
but it's
all
good.
right.
When you're
But
not
it's,
there,
it's
they
it's a
miss you.
nice week.
You're valuable. That's all the point. Okay, thanks to everyone again. Uh, Today, wow. So we don't have to go to breakout room today. Hmm. We have all the room to ourselves. Beautiful. Okay. So last week we had a CRM project for waterfall, that's a traditional project management style. And then we looked at all the different project management phase from initiation to closure and how that relates to the project. And we said today we're going to be looking at the Scrum side of things. That's agile. So what we'll be doing today, we'll be looking at same project, and now we're bringing it out from the agile perspective. We'll also see some of the documentations and then look at the difference, the advantages of using agile. And then the whole idea is when you come across a project, a place of work, you should have an idea of what it takes, what needs to be done, how do you start it up, what sort of question you need to ask, and then what you need to do. Because as a project manager, when you get on board and then you are told that, oh, you need to join a team, that there's a new project coming up, and then they want your input, they need your guidance, they want you to help manage the project. So you should know the type of questions to ask, what sort of documentations are required. You have an understanding of how to prepare them, what details needs to go into those documentation, okay, because those are the things that will show your level of experience and exposure to project management generally, okay. So that's what we'll be looking at today. Let me quickly share my screen. I hope somebody can see my screen. I did open up my slide though. Can't find it. Hope you can see my screen. Dancing around the whole place. Hello? Can anyone see my
Yes,
screen?
yes, it's visible. Yeah, it's
Okay,
a blue slide.
thank you. Okay. Yes. So let's get on with this now. Today, we're on Agile Project One, and then we'll be looking at all the different phases. And we've picked just for comparison so that you will have a good understanding of the waterfall and then the agile. We've done waterfall with the CRM project, and then we're also going to do the same with an agile mindset now. So let's say today we're going to put on our agile cap as a Scrum team. So because some companies out there will say they need a project manager with Scrum experience, agile experience. Some companies will tell you they need project manager who's experienced in both waterfall and agile. Okay, so we've done the first one. Now we're looking at the agile part of it. So we'll just run through some of these slides and explain. And afterwards, you bring up your question. But just as I'm going, if you have any question, you might just raise your hand and then we'll just deal with it. We are together. Okay, so let's move on. The Agile Scrum project phase for a CRM project. That's what we have for today. So the title will be the CRM project implementation. That's what you've been given. Because at the end of this session, by next week, I'm going to throw in like a project, okay? And I will want everyone to prepare, make a presentation on how you're going to run through the project. Let me see some of the sample documentation, and then you will just run through it, all that we've done. I'm going to give different projects, we'll give different projects. So I want you to give me your product charter. I want to see your product vision, your scope statement, because when you do this, you are at work. You will be so surprised that when you get out there, this is the same thing that someone will be asking you to do. But because you've done it, it's just going to be like a walkover for you. Okay, so look forward to that. Now, our intro. What's our project name? What's the project goal? What's the business need that warrants this particular project? And what methodology we're using. So for the project name, it's a new CRM system. That's the name of the project. Then what is the goal to achieve? To rapidly develop a user-centric CRM solution that adapts to evolving market needs. The market needs are just evolving. When you go out there tomorrow, things have changed, and then you need to meet up. You need to catch up. You want to do things that are, things that are up to date when it comes to your customers' needs, because those needs keep changing. And as they change, you are able to follow up quickly and catch up with them with those changes so that you remain relevant. Your product remains relevant, usable, and very important to them. Because that's where you make money, because you're creating solutions to them. So what's the business need? Why do you want to do this? So that the current CRM processes that the company is using, they are rigid and then slow to adapt. So it's hindering ability to respond to customer feedback and market challenges. So that is the reason why we need this new CRM system. Okay, and then the methodology we say is Agile, the Scrum framework. So from all that we've learned so far, we understand the 5 major project phases, and then we're bringing all this into Agile also: initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and control, and then the closure. But for Agile now, your initiation, definitely you will look at your project vision. Okay, so I'll be expecting you to have like a product vision for whatever the system is. Whatever that project is, you should have a product vision, and then your initial scope statement, and then what sort of team that you plan to engage. Okay, as regards to resources, what sort of team do you want to use within your project. And for planning, during your planning phase, you'll be looking at continuous planning. You'll be looking at your backlog refinement, which is part of your planning phase, and then the sprint planning also. Those are part of your planning phase in different stages and phases. Then during execution, development has started, your testers have started working. All this will be happening within the sprint. And then your monitoring and control, like I said initially before, this goes pari passu with your execution. Now, this is where you talk about your daily scrums, where you have some daily discussions of what happened, what you plan to do within the next 24 hours. And if you have any issue, you raise it. And then your sprint review, at the end of the sprint, you want to look at, okay, talk to the stakeholders, let either the product owner or the BAs will now run them through, or the developers will run them through whatever it is that they've done. You'll now look at it. If there's any need for any change, that to be brought back to the team, and then they will implement whatever change has been recommended. And then you look at your abundant charts, your continuous feedback. What is the progress being made? You monitor all those. And then for closure, yeah, the same thing happens. Within your closure for Agile, you'll be looking at your release. Okay, you have after you've had your release plan, this is now time for you to release whatever it is that you've done either within the sprint or within the iteration period. So when you're done with all this, you can also, because your closure will be in different phases, okay? It might just be that you have a particular sets of sprints to produce some major features. So once you have your MVP, which can come in different phases, okay, you can have your MVP1, MVP2. So once you have your MVP1, for example, and then that has been released to released to production, okay, that needs to be closed out and say, okay, this is what we've gotten so far. And then your closure will go in phases in the sense that there might be some adjustment to what has been released, and then that will also go back. So those adjustments, those changes, those new features will need to be worked on, documented, and then your closure report will need to be developed further. Okay, so let's move on. Now for phase one, during your project initiation, that's where you have your product vision, which will be shared within the stakeholders. So we'll try to define the overall project vision, which at the moment is going to be a high level documentation, and then it will detail the goals, and then give it will also give the initial team, make a list of the team. What sort of team do you intend to make up for this project? Do you want to use a Scrum Master, a BA, system architect? Do you need product owner? Do you need developers? How many developers do you need? Do you need a full stack developers or just a front end developers? What sort of QAs do you need? Do you need QAs that can only do manual testing, or you need QAs that can do both manual and automation? These are all the different teams that you need to bring up. Okay, because at this point, management wants to know, because they will be paying all these people. So they need to know. And then you're not just writing that, you need to be specific. What will this person be doing? Why do we need a QA with automation experience? All this you will put in your documentation. And then you will establish the product vision, the need. And then from there, discussion with the product owner and the BA or the BA will now produce the product backlog. Okay, everything that needs to go into the product backlog, that will be populated. The backlog will be populated. So what will now be the key activities? Just like I've mentioned, you need to define your product vision. What are your strategic goals? And then you identify the key stakeholders. And what are the needs of these key stakeholders? You will analyze and assess these key stakeholders and know what their power is like, and what sort of what sort of communication style you need to reach out to them, and what is required from every one of these stakeholders. And then from the Scrum team, just like I mentioned, product owner, Scrum master, development team. Now, under your development team, that's where you have your developers, your QA, and every other person that will be working with them. You just sum up everything and say these are the development team. So you will now create an initial high-level product backlog. Okay, this will be created by the product owner because they understand the business ask. What is it that the business wants to achieve? So all this will be put in there. And then you have your definition of done. As you are bringing up this backlog, you want to know what is the success criteria attached to every feature. For this feature A, before we can say this feature is completed and acceptable, it must be like this. It must do this. It's more, you understand? You need to put all those information there. And they say, once it is like this, yes, we can accept it. It is good. This is how we want it to be. It's like having a website. So this website, the front page must be blue and purple. And then at the top, you must have the header. At the middle, you must have where you have your login. And then that middle must also have your must also have underneath the login forgotten password, your password information, your signing in information, all these details. You will put it in there and say, if it doesn't have this, no. Before we can say the front page is completed, landing page is completed, this is how it must look like. Okay, so you need to put all those details there. So your product vision statement, your initial backlog for the epics and the features, and then your team charter. Okay, so these are documents that you need to get. So when you'll be doing your project, which I'm going to give by next week, when you'll be doing it, make sure that these documents, you just try to attach them to it, okay? We don't want 10-page documentation. No. Just, you saw what I just screenshot of just a page on your slide. That'll help. But at least by the time you go through it, it'll help you to understand what information needs to go in there and the reason for them also. Okay, so the sample document, like I mentioned, your product vision statement, okay, what is it? It's a concise statement outlining the product's purpose, the target users, and the key benefits. You can see when we say your vision statement, product vision statement, it needs to say what is the purpose of this product, and then who are the target users, who will be using it, and then what will be the benefit of this. So all those will need to be within that document because the management needs to see them to justify it. Because they're going to be spending millions or thousands, hundreds of thousands of pounds on this. So your product name is Agile CRM Solution. And then the vision, for example, for this particular one, I say the vision is to provide a highly adaptable, intuitive, and integrated CRM platform that empowers sales and supports teams to deliver exceptional customer experiences and then drive business growth by rapidly responding to evolving customer needs. You can see how that product vision is just summarized. Okay, now what are your target users? The target users are small to medium-sized businesses, sales and customer service departments. Those are the people that we intend to catch with this CRM system. They are the ones that need to use this because they've been using something else that is not as good as this. So now we are creating this for them. Those are our target users. Now, what will be the key benefits? It's going to improve customer satisfaction. It's going to increase sales efficiency, real-time insights, and then rapid feature delivery. You see, those are the benefits to the company that we are trying to sell this to or develop this product for. So you can see now you have a good example here because I'm going to be giving different projects, different. There's going to be an ERP, there's going to be data migration, there's going to be maybe cloud-based solutions. So different projects will go to each and every one of you. Okay, so phase 2 now. We're now in project planning phase. And then within your planning phase, that's where you have your product backlog that need to be populated. So what is the objective? To continuously refine the product roadmap. Because within Agile, you will have a roadmap which I've discussed before, which will capture everything from A to Z that needs to be done. Just on one page, you can say, okay, these are all the different features that will be captured within this project. We're starting from this point to the end. So it's a high level documentation showing all that needs to be done within the project. So you will now prioritize the features. When you have the product roadmap, all your backlog, you will now prioritize those features and then plan for the iterations that will be coming up. What needs to come first? Within all these features, which one is A? Which will follow A? Which one is going to be B? Which one is going to C? What will be D? This will come first, this will come second. So all this discussion will happen with the product owner and the BA and the team to understand what comes first. Then they will give reasons that, oh, for this project, we need the first page to be what needs to be developed first. And then within that first page, we want to see this feature, we want to see this other feature, and so all the different features within that page will be there. So everything needs to be detailed within the product backlog. You will state all those steps. They will all be there. And then there will be refinements because within that refinement, that's where you will now prioritize and say, okay, well, this is not okay. Why don't we add this, take this off, So you're just trying to refine the backlog and then look at all the different features and prioritize. This one comes first, this one comes second. And also, so for the product backlog refinement, which I just said, continuously breaking down the epics into user stories, which is part of the work that will be done. And then once they have been broken down, they will estimate the effort, what it's going to take to get this done. The developers will be the one saying it because they are the ones developing and the testers. So they will be able to look at the story and say, oh, this landing page, it's going to take this amount of effort to get it done. It's going to take this amount of story points. And then the testers will also say, oh, yeah, I've done something like this before. I know how long it took me. I know what sort of effort is required. And then they will estimate it. There's going to be estimation techniques that will be used, either the t-shirt sizing or the polka dot, whatever it is that they want to use. But they will estimate and agree on a particular figure. Once they agree, if it's different, they will explain the reasons and then they will eventually come to an agreement and then assign that effort to whatever user story they have there. And also prioritizing, which one comes first, which one comes second. So there'll be reasons, there'll be reasons for you to prioritize, okay? So there might be some prioritization techniques that you guys will need to look at, okay, so that you will understand how to prioritize some of the stories. But that will be majorly what the BAs and the product owner will do. And then the release planning, okay, because we have product that we're trying to develop, we will have a release planning. Okay, we'll plan the release because it's a future thing, but we need to plan it that, oh, within these 6 weeks, this is what we would have done, and then this is the time we're going to release it. So we need to plan for the release. We need to plan all the different features that will be within that time and how, the sprint planning will go, how the daily scrum, everything, how they will all go, okay, and then all the details that will be within the product that is required to be delivered. So that is also part of what you will make sure that you understand very well because you're working with a team. When it's time for the release planning, you're there. When it's time for the sprint planning, you're also there. You understand it. You may not be of course, you may not be the one handling everything, but at least you understand what the team is doing. And then for the sprint planning now, the team will select the product backlog item for the upcoming sprint. And then they will now define a sprint goal because for every sprint, there will be a sprint goal. Now, all the products are within the product backlog. So what will be done is to pick some of them and now bring it into the sprint backlog. So you take it from the product backlog into the sprint backlog. And then what you have in the sprint backlog is what you want to work on within that sprint. So your sprint, ideally, we have sprint that are 1 week, 2 weeks, some 4 weeks, whatever it is, but mostly we use 2 week sprint. So you now define your sprint goal. The BAs will help you out with that. Okay, then you will have discussions with your design team, technical discussions, looking at the sketches. If you have mock-ups, discuss it. If you have wireframes, you discuss it. Then the deliverables will be the refined product backlog, which is being prioritized. All your user stories are being separated now. You have your release plan, sprint backlog for each of the sprint. So you can see how smooth Scrum brings all the different work that needs to be done. It's quite interesting with Scrum anyway. Okay, so as you continue, you'll get to see that. Now, this is an example of a product backlog. Just an example as regards to our CRM project that we're looking at. Now, if you look at the type of backlog item here on your table, there's a backlog item ID, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as it continues. Then there's a type of backlog item. There's epic, user story, bug fix, technical improvement, spike, non-functional requirement. So it's different items have been listed here and description on this other table. Like for the epic now, it says user account management improvement. That is the epic for that. And then under the user story, it says, as a user, I want to reset my password so that I can regain access to my account. Now that's part of the user stories that need to be worked on. So for this particular user story now, you will see it on the table that it has 5 story points. Okay. And that story point, the developers and the testers actually determined it because they've been working on search for a while. So they know what sort of estimate level that will go with that. So what was the status to do? Is it in progress? And what particular sprint is this? It's in sprint 1. 𝐖𝐈𝐓, who's dealing with this? The user story is being dealt with by Peter. And then the bug fix, Bill. Camilo is doing the technical improvement. So you have everybody's names here, assignees. So what's the AC, acceptance criteria, is written here. You say users can create, delete, and reset accounts. Okay, for this epic, at the end of the epic, they should be able to do this. Okay, if they can achieve this, then this epic is not accepted. So, and look at number 4 now, technical improvement. Query response time reduced by 30%. That's what they tend to achieve as a success criteria. So this is an example of your backlog. Okay, so let's move on to the next one, which is for the sprint. Now this is the sprint backlog now. Now within that product backlog, we've been able to successfully bring out some of the stories, user stories, into our sprint backlog. And we say for sprint 1, these are the stories that we want to deal with. You can look at it now that this is the ID US 001, 002, 003. For user story 1, as a call center agent, I need to be able to see the caller's previous tickets in their contact record. Okay, so these are the different tasks. Install standard contact record module, demo standard module, and identify revised configuration. So all this information, and then the owner who's dealing with it, J. Smith. What is the status? Completed. Okay, that means they've completed it. And then what is the estimated effort that was assigned to it? Now, these three, because this user story, the effort that was assigned to it was 16. This other user story, the effort assigned was 48, because they know how complex it is. So the developers and the testers came together and said, oh, this is going to take out so much time, so much effort, and then they accepted 48 as the effort. So you can see all the different days for the sprint. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, till eventually they completed it. Okay, so that is the sprint backlog. Let's move on. Now, we move to the third phase, which is the execution phase now. Within your execution phase, that's where you have your sprint. You have a 2-week sprint. So within that 2-week sprint, your developers will be working. Your developers will need to pick stories that the BAs, okay, they've already completed, stories that they have estimated during their sprint planning, and then they start developing. When they're done with that, the QA, the testers, will pick those stories and then test it. Is it okay? Does it meet the acceptance criteria? Does it meet the definition of done before they push it up? They do all sorts of tests. We'll see a list of those tests, I think, during the next few slides. So the development team works on the sprint backlog items. The daily scrums comes up to synchronize activities and plan for the next 24 hours. And then there will be continuous integration and frequent builds within these 2 weeks. There will be adherence to definition of done for each of the increments that's been presented. So there will be collaboration within the cross-functional team. They call them cross-functional team because there are different expertise, there are different professionals coming together to work. You have developers, you have QAs, testers, you have design architects, you have business analysts, okay, you have scrum masters, you have product owners, everyone coming together, working together from different areas. You will have some team that some of your team might be in Bangladesh, another one is in India, one is in America, one is in the Middle East. So, and you are all working together. So, what are you trying to achieve? Potentially shippable increments at the end of each sprint. So that at the end of each sprint, you can say, oh, we've done this, we've done that, we've achieved this. And then for your monitoring and control phase 4, this also goes with your execution phase. You need to now start tracking the progress. During the sprint, you track the progress of your team. How fast are they able to complete those tasks? And how much are they able to even do within a sprint? How many stories were they able to complete? How many user stories? They did 4 user stories during last sprint. Now, within this new sprint, they are able to only do 3. Why? What are the different estimates assigned to those user stories? So all those are part of what you will be tracking. You look at the plans. What is the quality? How many bugs were raised? How many were, fixed? Do you have anyone pending? All those are part of the reports that you will give. So you need to keep monitoring it. And this will go into your progress report. You will look at your sprint review, sprint retrospective. If you have any issue raised, action plans that has not been closed out, that should appear on your report. So the daily scrums will keep happening every day. Within that, they inspect progress towards the sprint goal. Then you will also adapt the sprint backlog to see if there's any deviation from what was planned. And during your sprint review, you will inspect the increment, adapt the product backlog if need be, gather stakeholders' feedback, what they've got to say about what has been developed. And if when you get those feedback, you take it back to the team will now need to work on it again for the next sprint. So for the sprint retro, that's after you're done with the whole sprint within that 2 weeks, the whole team will come together and then they want to see, okay, what is it that we did well? What is it that needs to be improved on? So all this discussion will come during your sprint retrospective. And you will now itemize action plans and assign it to someone for it to be closed out and followed up properly. So you monitor your sprint burn down charts and then your release burn down charts. For the release, it's going to be like for the sprint, is during every sprint, how your work goes, okay? How all the different stories are being developed, how fast you're able to do it, what time it takes, okay? So within that sprint, you will be able to monitor the team velocity. Okay, that means how many stories you're able to complete within a sprint. So you can compare and look at the progress. And then you will see how much of the impediments have been managed by the Scrum Master. And at times, you will even be the Scrum Master. They won't even call Scrum Master. They'll just say, you are the project manager. Manage this Scrum team. Okay, so you'll be working as a project manager and also be working as a Scrum Master. It happens, okay? So just prepare yourself. But the Scrum Master manages the Scrum team. So there will be continuous testing and quality assurance throughout the sprint. That will be the work of the QA, the testers. And then the BA and the product owner will be updating the product backlog, and actionable improvement items will also be noted, brought back to the team so that they can work on it. You will be monitoring your burn down chart, then your test report for each of the increments from the testers. The testers will hand that over to you. So you can now know the result of the test, how many bugs were fixed, were raised, and then how many were fixed, and all that. You'll have a summary of that on your bug report. Okay, so your sprint burn down chart. What is the purpose of your sprint burn down chart? Visually tracks the remaining work in a sprint against the time remaining. Remember, we said we'll be using 2 week sprint. So if you have 2 week sprint and then you have let's say 3 user stories within that sprint that you need to deal with, and you've already spent 6 days on just one user story, definitely you know something is wrong. Okay, because you need to look at the whole time, 2 weeks, that's 5 days every week because you're not working Saturday, Sunday. You're working Monday to Friday, so 5 days. And the second week is also 5 days. So you have 10 days for the sprint. So if you've done 4 days on just one user story and you have 3, then something is definitely wrong. So those are the things that you need to monitor and work on. So you'll be looking at your board and then see what the developers are doing, look at what the testers are doing, and ensure that nobody is slow, and if there's anyone caught up with that, find out why, investigate what's happening. This story has been on your board for, the past 24 hours and nothing is being done. And then he will explain, oh, I'm almost done with it. I'm actually being held up by this, by that, but I've asked this, to get me this. There's an API that I'm trying to fix. There's a plugin that is not working. I've requested for another one. Now I've gotten it. Okay, that's good. Now let's go. And then when he's done, he passes it on to the QA, and then the QA will start their work. So you need to monitor and see and ensure that no one is slowing down the team. So, and then the actual burn down line. This line shows the actual progress. Ideally, you need to stay close to that line, or either you stay close to it or you go below the ideal line. I will show you a pictorial view of what the chart looks like. So we say the y-axis, those are the days in sprint, and then the x-axis are the days in sprint, and the y-axis are the remaining work. Okay, you want to know what is left. That is it. Now, this is the pictorial view. You can see at the bottom where you have 1, 2, 3, iteration 1, iteration 2, 3, just, and this, which is actually the time. Let's say this time now it's 2 weeks, 2 weeks. And then on your vertical axis, we have your story points or your total effort. Okay, so you can see what the team velocity is, which is how many stories you're able to complete within a sprint. Within every sprint, how many are you able to complete? Because with that, you can tell what your team velocity, you can tell the capacity of your team, what they can actually handle. Okay, so when someone brings a task and says, "Oh, project manager Nana, can you please, take this project on? We need it completed in 6 weeks." And then you look at it, you and your team will discuss, look at all the different efforts, estimate it. And then once you've done your estimation, you can tell and say, "Oh, no, 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 no. My team will not be able to complete because based on our team velocity, we can actually do 40 story points for every sprint. And now you are bringing 400 story points and you want it done within a shorter period. So if we're going to be doing 40 story points within one sprint, that means 10 sprints will be required to do 400 story points. Okay, so that is where you'll be talking because you are giving data-driven information. You are discussing based on data because you already know your team velocity. So that's one of the things that you will be working on, and it's going to be very helpful. Let's move on quickly because of our time. So phase 4 now, we're looking at after, once you're done with execution, no, okay, let me not say done, still part of your execution, okay, because your execution and control all goes hand in hand. Now your testers are now working because you want to test the quality of what has been done. I did mention that there will be quite a number of testing techniques that you will need to familiarize yourself with, and some of them are listed here on purpose so that you can get acquainted with them. There's test-driven development, which is TDD. You need to write the tests first before the code is being developed. That's just what it means. And then automated testing, okay? And within that, you have your unit integration and regression test, which will be run continuously as the product is being developed or as those features are being developed. Then there's exploratory testing, manual testing to discover new bugs, acceptance test driven development. Okay, this is the 8TDD. That's collaboration on acceptance criteria before you even start development. Because you need to look at the acceptance criteria, okay, and then bring this into your testing phase before it goes into development. And then your done definition, where your quality criteria are part of the definition of done for each of the increments. So these are just part of your what your testers will be doing. Okay, you will not be the one doing the testing, but it's good to familiarize yourself with some of those terms. Okay, so when your tester start discussing with you, you have an idea, and then you can also look them up into more detail to see how it's been done. And then feedback from sprint reviews. Those feedback that you get from your sprint review is going to help with quality because whatever fault that is being detected there, your team will need to go back and implement those changes. That means the next iteration is going to be better, higher quality, improvement. Okay, so deliverables now, your automated test suite, test reports, quality metrics for every increment. Those are the things that you'll be seeing. Those are the things that I expect to see from you guys. Your test reports, you get it from your testers, the test suite, automated test suite, And then quality matrix, you develop the matrix. Either you can put it um, on an Excel sheet, however you want to get it done. Ensure that you show this. Okay, for closure and continuous improvement. Now, within your agile project closure, remember, unlike the traditional project management where you now need to start looking at the lessons learned after the end of everything, here you keep doing your lessons learned every retro, every sprint, because at the end of every sprint, you're going to have a sprint review, and then you will have your sprint retrospective where you look at what went well, what needs to be improved on, and then what are the action plans. So all this forms part of your closure documentation. And then your release. Okay, so your release report also will kind of sum up all your learning points. That will be at the end of the release. That's why you have your final release report. So your final sprint review, your final sprint retro for the overall project, assuming your project is going to take 10 sprints, for say, at the end of the 10th sprint, then you will now have your final, release report, and then your final retro. It's like you just sum up all the different learning points from all the retros that you've done. And then you will now have your product release to production, and then you will hand over to operations. Like I told you before, ops, prod, that's production. Ops is operations. Those are and then the support team. Because they will be the one, because when you develop this product, you need to hand it over to them. And then they will be managing the product as the users are engaging with it. So if there comes any feedback from the users, they will implement whatever changes need to be done. So you will now archive your project artifacts and documentation. And then you celebrate your team's success. Don't forget that. Every success, make sure you celebrate the team because they're working so hard. At times within this work, you get so engrossed with the work that you even forget to say thank you to the team. You start looking at, oh, this guy has not finished his work. Oh, this other team member needs to step up his game. This needs to be completed, that. And at the end of the day, thank God we're done. You need to remember to celebrate the team. Give them some kudos. Find out time to even go out if they're around you. Take them out, and there are some team that at the end of such product development, they just go out for, they just have a hangout where everybody will just go and cool off, relax. Oh man, that was tedious, but we had a wonderful time. Thank God for that. So it's worth doing, but just make sure that you celebrate your team. Okay. So you look at I did mention the lessons learned from the overall retro, and then your release report, the overall release report, and then you have your risk report also, and you also have okay, now you also look at your transition plan. Okay, so your transition plan will include all the details of the product that has been developed, how to manage it, how to engage with it, and then remember that you are passing it on to the prod team and operations team. They need to know how to manage the system. They need to understand what needs to be done. They need to understand what mustn't be done. Okay, the do's and don'ts. Okay, all this needs to be managed. And then if there's going to be a future update that is required, what sort of updates that will need to be done? What is the sequence? What is the frequency? All these need to go into your transition plan. And then what sort of support is required? It must be stated there. Then contact information. If this happens, make sure you reach out to these. If this happens, you do this. All those need to go into your transition plan also. Okay. So you have your transition plan, lessons learned, release report. Okay. Those are part of the documentation for the Agile at the end of the project. Okay, so your retro. Remember, I did mention your retro, which happens at the end of every sprint. These are the content of your retro. what went well. For this example, which is our CRM project, what went well was that the daily scrums were efficient and kept us aligned. The product owner was highly available for clarifications. The automated tests caught bugs early. That's a good one. And then what do we need to improve on? We say better estimation for complex stories, because they discovered that some of the stories are so complex that the estimation were not very clear. And then reduce context switching for developers, and improve cross-team communication for integration. So what are the action items? What we've noted as what we need to action. Implement a planning poker session for story estimation next sprint. Okay, the planning poker is an estimation technique. So we are seeing that implement it for the next sprint. And then block out focus time for developers daily. Time where the developer need to focus. You need to block out those times so that they'll be free, they will not be engaged for anything. And then schedule weekly sync with the integration team. So those are what we've decided as action items. So it is your job as the project manager to ensure that these action items are followed up and carried out, and then documented as closed out. If it's not closed out, let your report show that it's still in progress or outstanding until it's been closed out. Okay, so this is an example of your sprint retrospective. You can see these are the 4: what went well, what went poorly, and then what new ideas do we have, and what actions will we take. So I just take one of them. What went well? Team collaboration. The teamwork on the new user interface was seamless. That means it was beautiful. And then what went poorly? The server downtime. Multiple instances caused data sync delays. You see, these are problems that they faced. And then what new ideas do we have? Data analytics dashboard. Develop robust real-time insights. We need to develop robust real-time insights. So they are saying that we should bring in this data analytics dashboard into it also. So what actions will we take? 1, increase server capacity. Invest in additional capacity to reduce downtime. Complete API documentation. Finalize and improve API documentation. So you can see, refine task estimation to account for complexities. Upgrade testing environment. Enhance resources and tools for efficient testing. So you can see this is just one of the retros, and all these were noted. So you need to follow up on these action plans. Ensure the progress is reported, if it's closed out or not. If it's still pending, you need to follow it up. That's part of your job. So, what are the advantages of the Scrum? One of them is flexibility and adaptability. Unlike the waterfall, within that sprint, you can tell what needs to be worked on again and quickly correct it for next sprint. Unlike the waterfall where you have to wait for the whole project to end. So there's changes and feedback throughout the project. And then faster time to market. Because with these, within the first 2 sprints, you can develop your dashboard and push it out. And then people will now see the dashboard and start clicking, signing in. And then while they are signing in, you're already working on other features. Because if you don't have a quick time to market, while you're busy thinking of a product and you say you want to work on it for 8 months, someone else would have just developed it within 2 months and push it to the market. And you'll be so surprised that, oh, look at what we're working on. It's already in the market. So faster time to market is very important. And then increase customer satisfaction. Because continuous collaboration and feedback will ensure that the product meets evolving needs. As the customers are relating with it, they will now get to know what sort of improvement is required, and then they get back to the team. The team will now implement those changes, get back to the users. So that's how it goes back and forth, and it's getting better. And then improved quality. Integrated testing and definition of done promote quality. Those testings will improve the quality of what is being developed. And then enhanced team morale. Because we are working together, self-organizing teams and transparency, it will foster ownership because it's like, this belongs to us. We need to get the best out of it. So everyone is taking it personal because they are all professionals working together to deliver the same goal, which is the product goal. And then reduced risk. Because you detect faults early through your continuous delivery, you are able to identify issues sooner and then make corrections to them. So that is the advantage. You quickly note them and then you come back to the team and say, this has gone wrong. We need to clarify this. We need to fix this. And then it's been fixed. So the next sprint, you have a better product. Your next release, you have a better product. And that's why you keep having versions of products. Even your apps, you see version 1, version 2, version 3. So for each and every one of these versions, there's an improvement to what was before. Okay. Yeah, what sort of challenges do you expect to meet or that we're faced with? Scope creep. If you don't manage your product, there will be scope creep. That means new changes that will come and things that were not planned will just come in and change the whole scope. But if you have good product backlog and you have good requirement gathering within your team by the product owners or the product owner, you will definitely avoid this. And also, constant changes can be managed with Scrum. But once you have good management with your requirements and then your product backlog management, you will definitely uh, be able to manage scope creep or keep it out of your product. And then also, for your stakeholders' involvement, they are part of the team because for every sprint, you're going to have what they call sprint review. And this will involve the stakeholders. They will be there. You will tell them what you've done, show it. It's called show and tell. When you prepare a demo, they will see how this will work, and then they can give you feedback immediately. So that will be a selling point for you. It's going to be a plus point for every one of you. But you don't have um, if you don't have active stakeholders, if you don't have active stakeholders involvement, then you're going to have trouble because at times some stakeholders that are supposed to be within your sprint review, if they are not there and you've done some stuffs and you've moved on, someone will now come and say, no, 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 I don't even accept this for what was done during last sprint because the stakeholder wasn't involved. So that's going to be an issue. So those are part of the challenges. It is now your duty to ensure that those stakeholders are involved. Whoever is going to give you problem, make sure that they are there within that sprint review so they don't drive you back. Okay. And then there's going to be an initial learning curve because not everyone is used to the Scrum and Agile way of working. So those that are not used to it, you need to bring them up to speed. You'll be organizing training, sessions, presentations, okay, to bring them up to speed. And then documentation can be lighter, may not suit highly regulated environments without adaptation. Okay. As much as your documentation is lighter as compared to your waterfall, you still require documentation. And then you need to understand how to manage it as it relates to some regulated environment because there'll be some kind of environment where GDPR will be taken so highly, okay, and then there might be some government regulation as regards to whatever it is that you are developing. Some of them might involve data that must not leave the nation, that must not leave the environment that you're working. Okay, so you need to understand how to manage such, because I've worked on project before that some of those data are not permitted to leave in the United Kingdom. So, and as such, we ensure that we keep them here, even though we're working with people from other countries. We just ensure that when it comes to those data, they are not shared. So what we did was to like create a virtual desktop whereby you can just have access to it, but you cannot download, you cannot screenshot, you cannot do anything with them. So it should be as if you're working within United Kingdom. And then there's going to be training and coaching. So you need to invest in Scrum Master and team training, okay? Certifications. Your team needs to be involved with this. So it's quite challenging. It's not easy, but you ensure that you do it. Dedicated stakeholders engagement. You need to ensure that your sprint reviews are done regularly and your feedback sessions are well coordinated. So, and then also prepare based on how based on how heavy what you're doing is your product line. You need to start considering scaling frameworks, okay? Because if you have a product line that involves so many features, like 40, 50 different features are being worked on, definitely you know that one Scrum team is not going to work on it. Two, three Scrum teams will not work on that. So you have multiple teams working on different features for a particular product. So in such a case, you start thinking about scaling frameworks. So those are frameworks for larger teams. Okay. There are some companies where they have a product that will have like 200 features. So you can imagine. And within those features, there will not be different. Each of those features might have 5 to 8 user stories. So you can imagine it's huge. So you need to start understanding the scaling framework, considering you now start looking at Save, Less, or Nexus for larger implementation. Those are different types of scaling frameworks. Okay, they are for larger products. When you have product line that involves so many features, that's when you start considering Save, Less, or Nexus. These are different topics entirely within um, Agile. Okay, so let's conclude today. Agile and Scrum provide a dynamic and effective framework for delivering complex IT projects like our CRM system, prioritizing adaptability, customer value, and continuous improvement. So, by embracing iterative development and close collaboration, we can build a product that truly meets evolving business needs. Now, that is where we wrap it up for today. For our Scrum CRM project. Now you can see that we've looked at waterfall, we've looked at all the different phases, initiation, planning, execution, monitor and control, and closure, all the documentation required. And also now we've looked at the sprint. You've seen your product backlog, your sprint backlog, an example of it, what sort of documentation you need for your initiation, your product vision, the roadmap that needs to be presented, scope statement if need be, the release plan, how you conduct your sprint planning, daily scrum, okay, sprint review, and your sprint retrospective. So all these we've looked at because those are the things that you will be working on. I'm sure you're being assigned to different projects at the moment, so you should understand where each and every one of these comes to play. You can spend time and go through just spend time and go through the slide again whenever you're free, and then I will try and send over our work. Okay? Thank you very much, and thanks for listening. Do we have any question, please? Hello? Question time.
No question from me.
Okay,
Thank you.
that's good. And what about Nosa? and Nana.
Yes, it was well explained, so I don't have any questions at the moment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so in the absence of no question, which is beautiful, at least I appreciate the fact that you all enjoyed it and it was well explained. Thanks. So what we're going to do is that I need to know how many we are. I think we're 5, right? So that I can know how many projects that I need to send across. So basically, what you just need to do is just look at all the different 5 phases, look at the project. For the waterfall, you will just run through it the same way that I've done it. And then also for the agile, I also want to see you sending the presentation also, okay? Because this is really going to help you. You will be shocked that one of
Sorry, I can hardly hear you well.
Okay. I said the project, I'll be sending across some project to every one of you. What you need to do is I will just send a project name or a project title. Okay. So you're going to make a presentation on all the different phases and what needs to be done and how you intend to manage that project. Just like I've done on the presentation, make sure that you detail all the different documentation required, all the different steps, what stages, and how it's been managed from beginning to your project closure. So you will do that for Agile and you will do that for Scrum. Okay, so I'm going to send that. So I need to know how many we are. If someone can send me the names, are we 5? Are we 7? I will need that name. Who's going to take care of that? Just send me the name. So I will know that, okay, you guys are 7. Then I'm sending 7 projects across. And then I'll say, Samuel, you will do this. Amelia, this is for you. Nosa, this is for you. Nana, this is for you. So you've got time. If it's going to be 2 weeks, if it's going to be 3 weeks, no. Let's not spend forever on it anyway. Yeah, Ojali, you've got good hands up.
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Wells.
Good evening.
In case we have questions, how do we reach you?
Yeah, once you can reach out to Wumi, no problem. Just send in your question. No, I'll definitely get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So who is going to send me those names? Or you can pass it on to Wumi and say, okay, these are the names, but I don't want individuals sending it. Let someone just take the lead and say, okay, I will sum up everyone's name. We have 5 people, we have 6. These are the names: John, Nana, Emilia, Dami, Jali, just let me know the numbers. That way I can now send over the project. Because it's going to be different project so that you can get your hands dirty with it, which will be very helpful. During our own time of training, we never had this. So, in fact, we never had project management as a separate session. So it was just scrum. So we had to do all these on our own. But because I've actually done this myself, so that's why I understand this. So you'll be shocked that not everybody is familiar with all this that we're going through. Okay, so let me have those names.
From the tech team, we're just 2.
Okay.
Me and Osaremen from the tech team.
Yes. Yeah. Both the tech team and is the tech team different from the SM and PM?
We have 2 teams, the tech team and the fusion team.
Okay, both tech and fusion. Let me have all the names, and then I will just send it across. It's better that way.
Okay.
Yeah, that will be helpful. So please let me have it. Yeah, maybe latest by weekend, and then I will respond.
Or should we put it in the chat now?
Okay.
Because I think we're just 2 per team, so there's not going to be a lot of names. We
If you're
can.
2 per team, are you saying you guys are only 4?
Yes, that's what it is.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, if it's just 4 of you, fine. Just put it on the chart and also copy allow me with the same 4 names so that in case I lose this chart, I will have the one you sent to allow me, no matter what. So is that clear?
Yes, please.
Okay. So thank you very much for today. Thank you for listening in. By next week, we'll see what else that we've got for you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
how far have you gone with your sessions? How many weeks do you have left?
Well, in sprint 3 now.
Okay. That's good. So that means you've had 3 retros, 3 sprint planning.
No, 2 retros.
2 retros. Okay. The third one will come up.
Yes.
Okay.
And 3 sprint planning.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. All right. It's getting better. Okay. So that's it. Thank you very much. Allow me to share slides with you all. And I think that'll be it. Send me those names. I will definitely get back to every one of you.
Thank you.
Much.
Thank you.
Yeah. So have a wonderful week. Take care. I'll take
Bye.
you now. Yeah. Bye.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.